Hi guys, Marc Zicree, Mr. Sci-Fi, also known as Marc Zicree of Space Command, writer, producer, director, etc. Well, recently I posted the Star Trek episode I co-wrote, directed, and executive produced with George Takei, and it got a huge response. We got many more subscribers to Mr. Sci-Fi, and also over 120,000 views in just 2 weeks, and still going strong. So it occurred to me that many of you are new to Mr. Sci-Fi and don't know exactly who I am or what Space Command is. So I thought I would hip you to this project we've been shooting with Doug Jones, who's now starring in Star Trek Discovery, and many other stars from science fiction and television and so forth. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the Space Command trailer, then I'm going to talk a little bit about Space Command, then I'll show you a Space Command promo we recently did that talks about the backgrounds and influences of Space Command. It has some of my friends talking about me and the project. Really, really fun stuff. So without any further ado, so I won't be talking forever like I did on the George Takei Mr. Sci-Fi entry, here's the trailer for Space Command.
Soar up there, that's what it's about. We fly. That's what we cameras do.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the first of what will soon be legions of contented synthetic workers. We suffered a catastrophic incident at one of our mining facilities in the asteroid belt. And in the chaos that followed, one of our pieces of equipment suffered a serious malfunction and has gone missing.
Kicking in the thrusters. Lieutenant Bradbury, max their speed.
Yes, sir.
I do not yet know what the ship might do if provoked.
You speak as if it were alive.
On occasion, machines are.
You've got him in your sights. You have to go after him.
You should not have saved my skin, Jack. He was counting on your humanity.
Doubt that I know my duty, Captain. You put it in your report.
You put that in yours. This is suicide.
It's the only way that we can rescue those hostages.
Man down!
You'd vaporize everybody on Earth?
Our orders are wrong.
Slavery will stand to go badly.
You let all your people die.
Even when faith is shaken, one can always hold on to hope.
Pretty cool, huh? So basically, let me tell you what this project is, and it has stars from Babylon 5, Lost, Orange is the New Black, Glow, Star Trek Discovery, as I mentioned, with Doug Jones, James Hong of Big Trouble in Little China, John Hennigan, many, and gosh, on and on and on and on. Ferran Tahir, who's in JJ's Star Trek and Iron Man, etc. So many wonderful actors. Billy Mooney, who I've known since the Lost in Space days, and when we worked together on Babylon 5, and you know, just some of my favorite people. So essentially, I raised $221,000 on Kickstarter. Then I sold investment shares and raised over $500,000 from over 3,000 people around the world and put money in on Space Command, and millions more knew about this project. I wanted to do a hopeful vision of the future, something that Star Trek did for me when I was a kid, and I saw that so much science fiction now was so dark, so dystopic, both in features and TV, and I wanted to do something that said that we have challenges, but we can create a hopeful future for ourselves, for our children, for our grandchildren, if we just come together, if we just reach across boundaries and barriers and recognize our common humanity, that compassion and love are real in the world and vital and important. And so I reached out to my friends, many of whom I'd worked with on different shows I'd been a writer-producer on, and they all said yes. So I built a studio, we shot the first 2-hour pilot, We shot 35 minutes of the second story. We shot the opening scene of the third story, Great Solar War. Our story takes place in space. It starts 60 years from now. It covers 150 years in a future chronology as we colonize the solar system and jump to the stars. And I was just thrilled to be doing this amazing big story. We're still selling shares in Space Command. They're just $7,500 a piece. So now we're pitching the show to the networks and the big platforms like Netflix and Amazon and so forth. And I'm pitching it. I've written the first 8 hours of the show. I've outlined hours 9 through 12. The first novel is written by my friend Maya Bonhoff, who's a Star Wars novelist, who I wrote the second Magic Time novel with. And so as soon as we sell the show, shares won't be available, and if you buy shares in Space Command, you get a percentage of my producer's net profits on those first 4 episodes. So it's really cool, really fun. It's like if you could be buying it on Star Trek when Gene Roddenberry was just pitching it to NBC and so forth. So if you're interested in that, just email me at marczicree@gmail.com or call me at 323-363-1259. It's an amazing adventure that we've been having here. And obviously, if you have talents, if you're a VFX person or want to help build sets or anything like that, the more the merrier. It's a team effort. Basically, I'm taking what I learned from working in the fan film universe when I did Star Trek Phase 2 / Star Trek New Voyages, that enthusiasm, that willingness to just kind of, it's basically let's all put on a show, literally. And everyone's welcome who has an ability or who has a good heart. And I'm combining that with everything I learned working for the studios and the networks for several decades. So it's and reaching out to the audience via the internet. So it's the best of both worlds, and I'm thrilled to be doing it. But my goal is to sell it as a show, to have it run for a number of seasons, to have it be everything that we all want it to be. And Dave Edison, our erstwhile editor, and Elaine and I have also put together a promo that talks about the influences and inspirations for Space Command. And again, as I said, has a few of my friends talking about me and talking about the project. So that's it for now. Subscribe to Mr. Sci-Fi. I've got a Facebook page. I've got a Twitter account. And also there's a Patreon page where you can put in a bit of money every month to help Space Command move forward. So that's it for now. Talk to you really soon. Marc Zicree, Mr. Sci-Fi, Marc Zicree of Space Command. Bye-bye. Hello, my name is Marc Scott Zicree, and I'm here to tell you about an exciting new series called Space Command that we need your help to make a reality.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm the author of The Twilight Zone Companion, the best-selling Magic Time trilogy of novels, and Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities.
Marc is a unique guy because he has all the knowledge of the genre, and I think he's one of the mainstays in genre theory.
I'm also a writer, producer, director with extensive credits in film and TV, including Forever Night, Babylon 5, Star Trek The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine.
Marc came up with this episode of Deep Space Nine in which all the characters were involved in the world of 1950 science fiction writers, and it's generally considered the greatest episode of the show.
I also developed Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future.
Marc worked on Sliders and reinterpreted it, reinvigorated it.
As I was given the opportunity to invent and reinvent shows, I found myself in my natural element.
Marc brought it back to life, which is an incredible accomplishment in television. It's very hard to do.
And the viewers came back to the show. We got the highest rating in the history of the Sci-Fi Channel for any show.
He's an amazing talent in television. I've really never seen anything like it.
The visual aesthetic of science fiction in the 1950s was quite wonderful, with Space Patrol and Tom Corbett's Space Cadet and Forbidden Planet, and the wonderful writing of Robert Heinlein, Isaac Asimov, Ray Bradbury, and Arthur C. Clarke, and illustrators like Wally Wood and Chesley Bonestell and Virgil Finlay and Al Williamson were creating a vision of the future that was really incredible and wonderful. You had a future that was hopeful and heroic, and that we could all subscribe to and believe in and actually feel that we were going to be a part of. And I wanted to create something that could be hopeful again, that could be positive and forward-looking. And Space Command is not going to be nostalgic or tongue-in-cheek or quaint. It's going to be using every bit of our ability and our talent to make something that we can all be part of, that we can believe in again, a future that includes all of us at our best. A few years ago, I was at a science fiction convention. I was on a panel relating to Star Trek, And I learned that there were a group of fans making their own Star Trek episodes called Star Trek New Voyages. So I called my friend Michael Reeves. Michael has sold over 400 TV episodes. He won an Emmy for Batman the Animated Series. He wrote for Star Trek The Next Generation. He had a great idea for Star Trek New Voyages involving Sulu. Michael and I wrote the script. I reached out to George Takei. He came aboard, and we made an episode called World Enough in Time. It was 12 shooting days in New York and here in LA, and ultimately it got nominated for the Hugo and the Nebula, and it was the first independent project ever nominated for those awards. And I realized that you could make something of a quality that could go toe-to-toe with the studio and networks, and if you just had the right friends and the right heart and the right talent, that you could make something that would stand the test of time.
Marc Zicree has actually written for all the things he says that he's written. This is true. And he is the kind of absolutely dangerously insane person who will actually take all your money, and instead of doing what anybody sensible will do, which is head to Rio de Janeiro and spend the rest of his life on the beach surrounded by alcoholic drinks of every kind, he will actually put it on the screen and make a science fiction series called Space Command. The man is mad.
Thanks to our initial Kickstarter campaign and selling investment shares, we were able to open our own Space Command studios. My wife Elaine is a terrific writer, producer, and director, and together we brought aboard designers and visual effects geniuses from Star Trek The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Babylon 5, Battlestar Galactica, Serenity, Harry Potter, and Star Wars. They created amazing designs for our costumes, characters, and sets. I invited a number of my friends to be part of Space Command, and that includes Doug Jones, star of Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy, Falling Skies, The Strain, and now Star Trek Discovery.
And how does that make you feel?
Happy.
Robert Picardo, who was the holographic doctor on Star Trek Voyager, and also in The Howling, Total Recall, Stargate Atlantis, and many others.
You'll be delighted, I assure you.
I've known Bill Mumy since the Lost in Space days, and we worked together on Babylon 5, so I'm thrilled to have him in Space Command.
Thank you kindly.
Mira Furlan, with whom I worked on Babylon 5, and who later starred in Lost.
Something remarkable is happening.
Also Bruce Boxleitner of Babylon 5 and Tron. The legendary James Hong of Big Trouble in Little China and Blade Runner.
This is not your jurisdiction, it is mine.
And Ferran Tahir of Iron Man, Elysium, and J.J. Abrams' Star Trek.
Let's get this done.
John Hennigan, who wrestled under the names Johnny Nitro and John Morrison.
This means a good deal to me.
And Mike Harney of Orange is the New Black.
You bust your ship all to hell, so they give you a shiny new one.
I was really honored to be asked to become part of this project because, as with so many other things that he does, he's a pioneer along with Elaine. It takes tremendous courage and fortitude, and the way that they're doing it is very compassionate and very honorably.
We've shot a 2-hour Space Command pilot, 30 minutes of the second story, written the first 8 hours, and outlined hours 9 through 12, the first season of Space Command. Wow.
For somebody that has the knowledge that Marc has, guarantees new voices in the genre, new voices in filmmaking. I think it's incredibly necessary to do that.
If you're even watching this video, you're part of the team. It means that you believe, as we do, that storytelling that is positive and presents a view of the future that we can all strive for is something that you want to see. And together as a team, we can bring that to the world. You know, television and movies are the loudest voice that human beings have ever had. And Marc and his team and all of us feel that with that power comes responsibility. And Space Command is a big step in reclaiming the responsibility of storytelling in using this medium to make the world a better place.
Hello, Rock No Band and creator of Farscape and Alienation and Defiance.
Hey, my name is Damon Lindelof, co-creator of Lost and The Leftovers.
I'm George Takei.
And I want my Space Command.
And I want my Space Command.
And I want my Space Command.
Support Space Command. I'm not being paid to say this.
I thank you for helping make this dream come true, and I look forward to the continuing adventure.